That's better. So, Doodle Town Second Edition, we call it a great place to grow because we don't see Doodle Town as just a book or just an English language course book. It's actually a world of knowledge and exploration and fun and playing that you can build for your students in your own classrooms. I've had the pleasure to work with to work on Doodle Town, and it's such a great resource. Hopefully, you're going to enjoy it a lot. So, very quickly, in your head, you don't need to type the answers to these, or you don't need to say them. Just in your head, very, very quickly, say the answer to these math problems that are going to pop on the screen. Are you ready? So you'll start with 1 plus 1 in your head. Awesome. 2 plus 2, 4 plus 4, 8 plus 8, 16 plus 16. Now it's getting harder, isn't it? Now say any color that pops into your head, and I'd like you to type that in the chat box, please. Yeah, whatever you're typing, I'm not gonna see it, but most teachers that we ask this question always come up with red. Well, I don't know why. Some don't, but the majority do. And with children as well, maybe older than KGs, but whenever we ask them that, they always come up with red. And it's a good way to start an activity that has the color red in it, which I'm going to do with you in a minute. So, what is this? This is a frog. Excellent. And what color is the frog? Yes, so this is a red frog. So let's try to read that. This one is a blue frog. This one is, yes, a green frog. So I'd like you to point at the screen and put your finger just just below the letter and say with me, a red frog. Amazing. A blue frog. And now it turns blue. A green frog. Now, what we just did now is a literacy, early literacy, pre-reading activity that is aimed at something that we call in English language very early years English language teaching, which is early literacy skills, print awareness. Print awareness is a very important part of literacy that you will see appearing a lot in Doodle Town, which focuses on things like directionality, spacing between words, the fact that each word that we say is represented by either a symbol or a word as they grow older. And the fact that it goes from left to right, top to bottom, all of these things are called print awareness strategies. And these are a very important pillar in early literacy. We will see as we go through the book how these are integrated. This is just an introduction to get you in the mood of and to get you in the place of your young students at the moment. So if we go back to the teacher's seat, the teacher's role, what do we want to achieve from our children? We have a young child that joins our kindergarten, our school. What would we like them to have achieved by the end of the school year or by the end of the stage, the KG stage? Most schools aim for these things to empower their children with these things because these are the school readiness aspects. So literacy, we'd like them to have started to read, have started to hold the pencil and write, perhaps write words, spell words, start to write sentences, things like that that will enable them to go to the first grade and become start using literacy as a way of learning. We'd like them to have basic mathematical skills, which is covered in Doodle Town. We'd like them to have general knowledge in different areas, and we'd like them to express or explore this knowledge about different topics in English. So we'd like to give them vocabulary, language, structure. So when I ask most teachers, most schools, most of them agree that they would like these things as a basic um, achievement for their students. And a lot of them would like to stretch beyond that. So what does that stretch look like? Sometimes it looks like something like this. So thinking skills, we'd like them to move beyond the learning to the actual thinking, being curious about stuff, being able to categorize, analyze, according to their age, of course. Physical development, the actual fine motor skills, gross motor skills, how to control their body in space and how to be able to manipulate things, organize their things, being comfortable with space, all of these aspects of school readiness. We'd like them to be creative, not repeat what the teacher or other people might say. We want them to come up with their own ideas and with their own um, uh, messages, basically. And we'd like them to become more fluent. So the knowledge of language is not enough. We do want them to be fluent, don't we? So these look like a very good stretches, actually. What if we stretch it a little bit more? What does that final stretch look like? That's what differentiates institutions from one another, schools from one another, teachers from one another. Things like values, exploring values in English, emotional development, the ability to control your feelings, recognize them, deal with them, express them, thinking about topics and their connection to their real life. So when they see a topic in a book on a two-dimensional page, how do they relate that to their previous experiences? How do they relate that to what they see in their everyday life? This connection is very, very important to them. Thinking about the role in the world. And this might seem like a very broad concept for a young child, but at this very young age, if we get them to feel that their presence in this world can actually make it a better place by being kind, by being empathetic, by having an effect in keeping this planet clean, for example, things like recycling, being kind to animals, being kind to nature, appreciating appreciating this planet that we live in. They have a role in that. And if they realize it at a very young age, you have no idea how proud they will be. And above all this, enjoying the classroom, feeling like they belong somewhere, they belong to their classroom is actually the first family that they encounter outside the house. And it's important that they enjoy their time here. So this is one huge stretch. But let me tell you something. Uh, if you'd like to start with these, actually, these will not happen if this doesn't happen. So if they don't think and if they don't create and if their physical development is not enough, they are never going to achieve literacy, mathematical skills, knowledge, and language. If they don't speak, they don't practice speaking, they are never going to get good at vocabulary and language. And actually, if the final stretch doesn't happen, there's a good chance that the second stretch won't happen as well. So these are actually not stretches. These here are where we should start as English language educators for very young learners. And this is what we call the whole child approach, whole child learning. Everything should be linked to their emotions, fun, and all of these tie in nicely to their experiences at home and lead into values and thinking about the role. Then they will start speaking more fluently because they have lots of ideas that they want to express. Then they become more creative, and this creativity will lead into more advanced thinking skills combined with their physical development. Suddenly you will find that literacy started to emerge. Their knowledge is going to become better and better, and their English language is going to improve. So we should really start from the end. So This here is a quote about reading in particular, that it is not enough for us if one of our main goals in teaching preschoolers is to teach them how to read, which is an important goal. It involves more than just teaching them the letters and the sounds. They need to recognize these words and link them to meaning. And in order for this meaning to happen, a lot needs to happen. We always say to teachers that children cannot read what they cannot speak. If I give you now a text in Spanish language, you're going to be able to decode it phonetically, but there's a lot more missing if you don't speak the language. So speaking is a very, very important aspect to reading, and developing things like grammatical structures, language manipulation, this sort of skills will help them tremendously in their quest, or in your quest, to help them become more confident readers. So these are the four pillars on which Doodle Town is built. So it aims to give children a positive start to language. And this you will see. Oh, sorry, PowerPoint started acting up. So the early literacy is provided in the book through these four pillars. So phonological awareness is the phonics, letters, sounds, and Doodle Town has a very strong synthetic phonics approach, but it doesn't teach phonics separately from the other skills. So comprehension and narrative skills are very important. Print awareness, as we discussed in the beginning, and language and content awareness. So we start by the topic, really immerse them in the topic, really getting them engaged, involved emotionally. And then we start linking all of this language to a very vivid reading experience. All that cannot happen if we don't have a positive start. So having stimulating and memorable content is one thing, but you also as a teacher need to be stimulating and memorable yourself. Children need to remember you. They need you to be as animated as you can be. And I'm sure that KG teachers all over the world have this in common. We tend to be very animated. We use our voices. We vary our voices a lot. We tend to use lots of hand gestures. Also, children remember what you look like. They remember what you wear every day. They remember your attitudes about things. So there, do the best you can to be as stimulating and memorable to the children as possible, because it helps them a lot. Hands-on activities are really important because children learn by doing. They are almost all of them are kinesthetic learners. They learn by doing, by engaging their bodies, by engaging their senses. So the book has lots of hands-on activities, songs, videos, as you will see, and the engaging characters. So we have here, this is the spread, and children get to put stickers on the opening spread. They get to discuss this picture. They get to um, enjoy a very nice theme and have discussions with you on it. It's not only to support literacy, but it's also to make learning more enjoyable and fun. This is an example of the hands-on activities: drawing, doodling, projects, coloring, cutting and pasting. All of these things help students calm down, and they help them focus really. And these are the videos. And there are three types of videos. There are language presentation videos and songs, and there are the values videos, which are really truly warm and heartfelt songs. If I don't know if you have had the chance to look at them or watch them, they're all really nice and very child friendly. They have really nice values to them. And of course, our main characters are Gus, Meg, Kit, and Doodle Bunny. These characters will remain with the children throughout the 3 years of kindergarten. Whole child learning is combining all of that. social emotional learning, there is as a complete social emotional learning syllabus embedded in the book, as you will see, accompanied by values. So not only we are teaching children about recognizing their emotion and respecting their emotions, we teach them around values around self-management, social interaction, how they should deal with others. Also, cognitive skills, how to analyze, how to think, how to categorize, how to use their higher order thinking skills in age appropriate activities. We will see all that and refer back to it as we look at the unit. And citizenship, the values result into them be understanding and becoming better citizens of this planet as a part of the global citizenship education initiative. Of course, at this very young age, this is very age appropriate, child friendly, but it does develop into more advanced concepts while they move on to the primary course book global stage. So here, if you can look at these are different lessons inside the book. And if you look at this icon, you will see that it represents social emotional learning and values. Whenever you see this, it doesn't have to be the values lesson or the values song. Sometimes you will see it in the project. Sometimes you will see it in the science lesson. Whenever you see this sign, the teacher's book will tell you how to link that into the social emotional learning and into the values that are discussed in the unit. All you need to do really is to read the teacher's guide and follow these very teeny tiny discussions with the children. You will see how they work and how children will relate to them, and they will help you manage the classroom better and will help them relate the content to something that they can feel. These are the animated value song videos that I was telling you about. They are absolutely fantastic. And children really love them. And the assessment pack. So you've got in your teacher resource pack, you've got unit assessment, midterm assessment, and end of year assessment. And actually, I recommend that you look at this assessment to help you recognize the objectives that you're working towards. What's not being assessed is not worth spending time on. So when you look at these grids and see that you're going to assess the children on them, you will work more carefully towards them. Also, we have added, but this is not added to the resource center yet, but we will be very happy to email you that. We have added an early literacy guide that will tell you, I'm going to show you that in the end of the session, but this guide will tell you the expectations regarding literacy from each level of Doodle Town. So children who are meeting expectations should be able to do so and so and so. Children who exceed expectations should be doing so and so and so. These things we have received a lot of feedback from teachers and sometimes from parents. They need to know these things. So what are all these words about? What is expected from the child? Is the child expected to memorize all of the words, read all of them, spell all of them? Absolutely not. So we have made this very clear for you, and hopefully today's session is going to clarify some of these things as well. So I'm going to quickly pop back on the meeting to see if there are any messages in the chat box or questions. Right. No, it's really quiet down here. Welcome to everybody who has just joined. Thank you for joining. Feel free to type any questions, thoughts, comments into the chat box. I'm going to jump in from time to time to check. Right, so I'm gonna go back now to the Doodle Town PowerPoint. Right. So let's go inside a unit right now. And this unit is from level 2. Level 2 in countries like Egypt is for KG1, 4-year-olds, because countries like Egypt and Jordan might have just 2 years of kindergarten, while Saudi Arabia, for example, some schools would have 3 years of kindergarten. So this is the middle level, level 2. It's for 4-year-olds. And it's used for KG1 and KG2 according to which country you're in. So this is unit 4, and this is the opening scene. The purpose of this opening scene is obviously firstly, to teach them the vocabulary. And children here get to use the stickers, point at words. The presentation of the vocabulary is done through audio in the beginning. So in the audio, we give them the sounds of the animals along with the names of the animals. Yeah, sometimes children respond better when they hear the sounds of the animals. They link them better in their memories. Some of them really like to imitate sounds as well. So in the beginning, we give them the words with the sounds of the animals, and then the activities in the digital interactive kit vary between receptive practice and productive practice of language. At this point, we are aiming that the children recognize the words, meaning when you tell them the word, they can point at it, they recognize it. The productive activities, when you point at a picture, they name the word. So both are equally important, and we do not give them in particular order because some children learn better when they recognize first. And some children actually learn better when they produce first. So unless they say the words, they will find it hard to remember. Your students are really different from one another. This is why these activities vary between productive and receptive. This is at one word level. Very, very quickly and very soon we move away from one words to getting these words into complete sentences. The structure here that we are going to give is a bat has wings, a mouse doesn't have wings. This is the sentence that we'd like them to hold, but there's no reason why we cannot expose them to more sentences because we'd like them to get into the habit of recognizing words in the middle of speech that they don't necessarily understand. See what I mean? So this is why our target sentence is a bat has wings, a mouse doesn't have wings. But the dialogue that is presented here between Gus and Meg is going to have a little bit more language than that. So they are going to say these sentences, they are going to sing them, and the song will have more language than the target language, which is absolutely okay and normal and needed for the children to get more exposure to language. So a bat has wings, it can fly way up high in the sky. These are the lyrics of the song. A bee has wings, it can fly way up high in the sky. The children get to repeat these things and really enjoy them. Here, this is a let's talk lesson. Okay, I can hear noises. It means that somebody needs to join the meeting. So perhaps I should pop and let them in. Yes. Okay. So lesson 2 is the let's talk lesson. And it's always linked here to, yes, that's right. Who can recognize this little icon? This is the social emotional learning values icon. And here, this little girl is using binoculars to look at things in outside, outdoors in nature. And the discussions that can happen on this page are linked to what the students feel when they encounter some of these animals. Um, it's very intriguing. This is why I've chosen this particular lesson, is because some of these animals aren't very pleasant to look at. When have you ever seen an owl in real life or a bat? And what does seeing a bee or a mouse make you feel? What about a lizard? I don't feel good about seeing lizards, to be honest. And these feelings should be discussed with children because children relate to negative emotions just as they relate to positive ones. And we should not impose any feelings on the children. We need to accept what they feel and let them express it, let them show whatever they do. Some children love bees. Some children love the idea of bats. They love Batman, for example, so they would relate this to that. These kind of emotional links can help children remember the words and can help them with the next value that we introduce, which is being kind to animals and being kind to nature. So just because you don't feel particularly very happy about seeing a certain animal means that you get to hurt them in their own habitat, in their own natural environment. So yeah, if you're afraid of frogs and you are outdoors and you see a frog, do you kick it? Do you hurt it? Or do you just leave it alone? Um, uh, and as much as there's no right and wrong in the social emotional learning discussions, sometimes we need to help them empathize with what it means to be kind to nature. What about the plants? If you like a flower, if you look at a flower, what does it make you feel? And you can discuss the colors of flowers, the smells of flowers. But what do you do when you see a flower? Do you leave it alone or do you pluck it and enjoy it? Things like that are not meant for the children to utter values that are uh, memorized, but it gets them to think about things. So we have covered the vocabulary. We've done vocabulary, lots and lots of activities on the platform and lots of flashcard activities in the teacher's guides that you can do that can help the children remember, play games with them. We've got the sentence that we want them to hold. Holding a sentence is the first step, and I'd like you to remember this word, hold a sentence. So they hold the sentence, then they discuss and link it to their social emotional learning. Here, why is the language presented in this way? This is where we link it to the early literacy aspect. So here I have print awareness because the language is written in front of the children, supported by these little pictures that we call rebus reading. So a bat has wings. Are the children supposed to read that while they are still 4? No, actually, no. But through the language and content awareness, all of these discussions, all of these songs, all of these games, they're supposed to remember this sentence, remember it, hold it. So when we point at it 1 time, 2 times, 3 times, 10 times, when we point at them, they should be able to recognize and kind of repeat them as if they were reading them. It helps with their directionality. It helps them where to look. The more we do it, really, the more they get used to it. So just because they cannot read it independently means that we shouldn't be doing it. We should be doing it. We should be training children, training their eyes and fingers on to how to track a sentence and follow it. Right. Here, this is the page on the workbook. And as you see, it focuses on the target sentence that we'd like the children to hold and say. It has wings, it doesn't have wings. So what we'd like them to do here is point at this. Oh, what's this? A turtle. It has wings or it doesn't have wings. Give them the choices. You want them to say, you want them to produce the answer. It doesn't have wings. It has wings. It doesn't have wings. You'd like them to say it and then do the matching. And then if they can draw, of course, they can draw. Here, this is the extension. This is where we're adding more details to the sentence. Now we've held the sentence, that now we change the sentence and manipulate the sentence. Here we are adding more details. So wings and spots and stripes. Here, this is a receptive activity. We ask them, does it have spots? And they say yes or no. This is the first step, receptive. They are not saying anything yet. Right. This here is what the phonics lesson looks like. It's a synthetic phonics. Like we said, the letters are presented in the order of frequency, very similar to many synthetic phonics programs out there. And in this age, the focus is mainly on initial sounds, phonological awareness of initial sounds, and the children get to practice writing these letters. Later in level 2, the same level that we are in now, the children are going to be introduced to some blending, some reading. But the majority of the blending and segmenting and spelling is happening in level 3. Here, as you see, this comes from the activity book, and these are little cut out readers for every single letter. So children get to cut them out, enjoy them, color them, and keep them. to remind them of the lesson, of the letter, the target letter. These are the worksheets that I was keeping as a surprise, actually. We have created these worksheets especially for schools who do not have the first year of kindergarten that others have. Some schools start directly with level 2. So they will have missed some of the letters taught in level 1. So we have created this package of worksheets as to make up for the letters that they might have missed. And also for students in the first year of kindergarten, some schools call it preschools, baby class. They might not have been able to practice writing the letters yet. They would be still 3, really young. So KG2, the second year of kindergarten, you can start doing that. It has all of the letters. So all of the letters are going to be covered in level 2, along with a lot of practice and revision. We are going to send you this by email, or your Macmillan your Macmillan consultant you can go back to them and they can give you these worksheets. They are available, they are ready for you to use. Okay. We had a lesson that comes after that is called grammar fun. And this is what the page looks like in the student's book, and this is what the page looks like in the activity book. Grammar in KG1. What are we talking about here? Please do not panic at the word grammar. Grammar here is only meant as a language manipulation tool. So we have held a sentence, changed the sentence a little bit. We want them to be able to recognize different forms of sentences, such as questions and answers with yes or no, complete sentences with yes or no. Here, we're not asking them to analyze the language or write answers to questions or things like that. This is only meant as a speaking activity to get them more and more familiar with manipulating the language. Children at this age would do it by imitation and by habit, not by analyzing. It's not really suitable according to their development phase. They would not be able to analyze language before the age of 7 or 8. Too early for us to do it now. This here is not meant for that. It is meant for the children to be able to say it, work with it, play with it, just that. Here in this activity book, we would want them to point and pretend to read it. Does a rabbit have hands? So yes and no. The teacher is supposed to read that for them. And then when they have said it so many times orally in the student's book, they should be able to complete the sentence orally. Yes, it does. No, it doesn't. Yes, it does. No, it doesn't. And they should recognize. If they don't recognize the written format right now, it's no big deal. This is not the aim, but it's all a part of the exposure. If they don't grasp it, it doesn't mean that we shouldn't do it. We should still do it again and again and again. Okay, so here, this lesson is called Let's Practice. Remember when we said we were going to add more vocabulary to the basic sentence that they are holding? So the sentence they are holding is, a bat has wings, a mouse doesn't have wings. A lizard has wings, doesn't have wings, a bee has wings. So here we are adding more vocabulary in this lesson. So the vocabulary here are the colors, red, green, and orange, and the other details, spots, stripes, and the tail. Why do we add so much vocabulary at this age? Isn't it a bit overwhelming? Well, the answer is the more tools you give them, the more you will help them manipulate the sentences more and change the sentences more. So we want them first to hold the sentence, but through the grammar and extra vocabulary lessons, we want them to change the sentence. Here in this lesson, the aim is for each one of them to decorate their own lizard and then try to describe it. They wouldn't be able to choose their own decorations if they don't have the tools to do that. So we give them the tools, and you will be surprised on how how much the children can do with these words and how much they can say these sentences. And the more sentences they say, the more familiar they are with how the language works and how the sentences change, the more fluent they will become in reading. You'll be surprised at how this will help them predict reading as you train them to do that. Here, so this child is decorating her lizard. So my green lizard has red spots. And do you notice here what this child says? He says, I like it. Look at that. Values and social emotional learning. When we do this training face to face, I usually ask the teachers to decorate their own lizards, and I decorate my own, and I go describe it to them, and I prompt them to say that they like it. Children need to recognize that when somebody shows you something, especially something that they have done themselves, you need to show them appreciation of their effort. Find something that you like and say, wow, I like it. It makes others feel happy. Um, and the song here is so nice, so amazing in this lesson. It's about a brother and sister liking each other, liking to spend time with each other. It's about Gus and Meg, the brother and sister. The song is very, very heartfelt and warm and really, really nice. This here is a cognitive skills lesson, but you will see that not only we are focused on the children finding the odd one out, now they have the language to say why it's odd. So here they're going to pick this one. Why is this one different? Oh, it has spots. This butterfly, which one is different? This one. Yes, it doesn't have wings. This butterfly has wings. This butterfly has wings. This butterfly doesn't have wings. See now how you have given them the tools to work with the language in a cognitive and thinking skill. Language has to happen first, and then the thoughts will come. Some say that Piaget says that language and thought are interrelated. Language affects thought, and thoughts affect language. So when you've taught them this language, you made it easier for them to recognize what's different because they have the language for it. It's quite intriguing how these young minds work. So I'm gonna pop back in the meeting to see if there are any questions, comments. Oh. Are you sharing anything? I can't see. Oh my God, I am sharing my screen. Can you all see my screen, or have I been talking to myself all this time? Can you just use the emojis, please, to make sure that reassure me that you can see the screen? Yeah, hands up. Thank goodness. Yeah. And Summer, can you see the screen? Okay, I don't think Summer is here. No, she's here. Summer, can you see the screen actually? I'd like to make sure that you can see it because everyone else can. Yes, you can see. Thank God. I'm really glad. So yeah, I come back here from time to time just to look at the chat box, make sure there aren't any questions, comments, and yeah, feel free to type in anything that you need on the chat box. Now let's go back. Yeah, I can see someone typing. Someone, that's you again. Can you please send this session? This session is being recorded and we are going to upload it on social media and we are going to send it to you, of course. Of course. If you don't receive an email on with this recording, you can always go back to your Macmillan consultant and they can help you. They can send you the link. Well, it is being recorded and we're going to send it. So going back to the presentation. So we have now given the children words, a sentence to hold, tools to change the sentence, and extra details to add to the sentence. and we've given them cognitive activities like this one. See what next? This comes from the literacy skills pad. And it has the print awareness early literacy exercises that we've talked about. So here, do you notice the repetition? How do we manage a page like that? So what we do is point here and say, I see. They have studied I see in a previous lesson and in a previous level, but there's no reason why we cannot remind them. I see a, and then elicit this. Green. What's this? Frog. Yes, so this is frog. It has, so they've come across this in the grammar section. It has spots. Yes, so let's give this frog some spots and let's color it green. Then all of the sentences will follow the same pattern. So they will immediately start saying that with you, especially the quicker students. I see a yellow bird. It has wings. So then we go to the bird and we try to help them guess and stuff like that. These activities are not actually designed to be done just the one time. The more you do activities like that, the more the children are going to become familiar with semi-reading these sentences and following instructions. You can repeat the same activity as many times as needed for the students to become confident. They can do it as a group work, as a pair work, but then you can start changing some of these details actually. Using the same pattern, the same repeated sentences, but you can change some of these details and just experiment with it. We will say it again and again. Just because students cannot read independently yet doesn't mean that we shouldn't expose them to this type of reading activities. Get them familiar with the page. Print awareness. They need to be aware that words that we say can also be written and represented in printed words. So this is a review of the progression of how language works in the book. So the core sentence, it has wings, it doesn't have wings. Hold the sentence. Then change the sentence, add more details in a receptive way. Then the productive changed sentence. It has wings, it has spots, it doesn't have. So this is how it progresses. Just follow the order of the book and just be conscious of how the language progresses, and you will see how the children will respond to that. Right. This lesson here is called Let's Explore. And Let's Explore, can you see this icon right there? This is a science lesson. In Doodle Town, you will see science lessons, you will see PE lessons, you will see art lessons, values, like we said. So these icons, you will find them everywhere. And this lesson is actually a very cute one. It's about camouflage, the animals who can change their appearance to hide. So we are doing it with a frog because a frog is a very easy word to remember for children. And here the children are going to color the frogs any color that they like and hide them in their student books. Here in the activity book, we're giving them the frogs that they can color. And also in face-to-face trainings, we often give teachers these frogs and ask them to hide them. And you have no idea how creative some of you teachers are. You guys are always amaze me with your creativity. I had one teacher in Saudi Arabia who colored the frog. I wish I had that picture to show it to you, but she colored the frog with stripes of color and hid it in front of a crayon box. It was fantastic. It was amazing. And actually, when you as teachers do that in front of the children, you get them more creative with trying to hide the frog in the classroom or in the playground. But first, they start by hiding it in their book with solid colors. A gray frog can hide on a rock. A brown frog can hide on a log. A green frog can hide on a leaf. So, and all of these words they have been exposed to in previous lessons. This is one of my very favorite lessons. This is the lizard in the activity book that they are supposed to decorate. Also, feel free to decorate your own lizard as well and show it to them and elicit their reactions. I like it, I don't like it. And go around and describe your lizard. It can take a while for children to be able to describe their own lizard, but they have the language tools now. They have the colors, they have the description, the shapes. And you have no idea how amazing it feels for them to be able to do something with their own hands and then talk about it. So yes, this is the activity book. See how it moves on from children describing the odd one out, the odd one out. They are describing something that it's already there. But here they are describing something of their choosing, something that they feel strongly about, something that they like, which is a part of the whole child approach. We want them to communicate a real, genuine message that they come up with. They are not just describing something on the page, they are describing something that they have done. Take a lot of time in doing that because all of that will affect their academic progress once they start how to read. So this is also a reminder of how the progression of language goes. A bat has wings. Does a rabbit have wings? Yes, it does. No, it doesn't. This will help you with conversation, communication when they are describing their things, their lizards. And then they get to describe their own lizard. And then we give them the main reading task. This is a reading lesson. And with all of the preparation that we've done, with all the language, the exploration, the feelings, the values that we've explored, they will find this page very intriguing and very easy to read. Here, we are using, because this is a non-fiction text, we are using real photographs. We want to link the cartoon world that they've been exploring into real life. And the text goes, it's a poem. It's this frog has spots. This snake has stripes. This butterfly has spots and stripes. Does this animal have stripes that are red? Does this animal have spots on its back, on its head? So in the beginning, you read the whole thing for them. And then you start asking them questions, and they start to try to read the sentence to answer the question. Then you can show them the pictures one by one in the frames. In your digital presentation kit, you can show them the frames one by one. And then you can do it again, but by reading from the page like this. Children love being read to, and they love joining along into a reading like this. Yes, they might be too young to read something like that independently, but with all the help that we have given them, they are going to semi-read this. You will be amazed that some of your quicker students actually will be able to read this independently, point at the words and read it independently. They will have memorized the text, know it by heart, engaged with the pictures, and they will find it very easy to point and read. If children cannot do that, it's fine. It's okay for you to read to them, to read with them, for them to join in with you. Eventually, they will get there. This type of reading is independent from the phonics program that we're giving them. We're giving them a solid synthetic phonics program that will move with them to level 3, where they will learn to blend properly, segment properly, but depending only on phonics in early literacy can limit the types of text that they can read, because not all of the texts are decodable. We want to give them texts that are more dynamic, more lively, more close to real life. And this is why we're presenting reading in these two ways. The exposure way, that is linked to language and is linked to uh, the discussions that the discussions that they have explored with you. And we also give them the phonics that is supported by the word attack tools that we give them, the sounds, the blending, and so on. Right. So here, this is an additional reading. If you're using the literacy skills pads, these are cut out readers that are available for each unit. So by the end of the level, the children will have a library of 10 little readers that they get to cut out. It is exactly the same text as this, but manipulated a little bit. So let's take a look at that. Look for animals. What do you see? I see a butterfly. Does a butterfly have wings? Yes, it does. I see a frog. Can you see how we are starting to remove the support a bit by bit? Does a frog have spots? So in the picture, there are spots you're going to discuss and then ask them and then read with them and read to them until they are confident that to hold this story and start semi-reading it. We have seen a lot of children enjoying these little stories, and it's been such a delight to see how children get to enjoy the confidence of reading at a very young age. Yes, it does. It doesn't it doesn't have wings, though. I see a bee, does it have, doesn't have. So it's all language that they already know and they've already gone through, but we're putting it all into a reading context. This is why we've said in the beginning, you cannot read what you do not speak. The more time you spend on the speaking activities, language manipulation, independent language production, group play, pair play, the language corners, the language centers that are in your teacher's book, the more you allow students to speak, the better they will become in reading such texts, which is what we're all aiming for. A reminder about print awareness. And before print awareness, you need to recognize that children learn when they have purpose. Willingness is your key word. If they are willing to repeat a word, they will repeat it and remember it. If they repeat a word just because you're making them, they're not going to remember it. So, how do you get children to be willing to say words and say sentences in this age? By games and by surprises and by being animated. So, I'll give you an example. In a vocabulary practice productive activity, what makes the children eager to say words? You want them to say words at this point. When you play a game with them, when you show them a flashcard, hiding it and uncovering it a bit by bit, they want to be the first to say. So this is their willing part. They want to win the game. For a receptive activity, if you stick these flashcards on the walls and ask the children to hop or tiptoe or jump towards them, they are going to want to listen to the word, recognize it, and move to it because they want to play the game. So, children, if they don't want to do that, they will do it while being in another world. They are not going to focus on it. So, the trick here, I guess, is to make them want to. And by all these activities, this is what we're aiming for. We want them to be willing to say target language. So this here is an activity about print awareness. It's independent of the book, but it can help children who cannot read yet participate in something that goes from left to right. So we show them pictures in this sequence. So say with me, red car, blue car, yellow car, clap. And then we can do something like small red car, big red car, big red car, small red car. And then we go something like this. Small red car, big blue car, very big yellow car, clap. Things like that can make children they are fun because they are easy, and we're not aiming here for the language part as we are aiming for the left to right directionality. They get to read symbols, and reading symbols is a very important aspect of print awareness. And actually, they will continue to read these symbols in the world of today. We read symbols all the time, emojis and stuff. So this is another activity that works on print awareness that appears in the literacy book. If you look at this activity, I think this comes from level 1, even not even level 2 yet, level 1. And are we actually asking the children to remember these words? No, absolutely not. Not really. We're asking them to recognize these words within this lexical set. And we're even giving them clues here because the frame of the picture is exactly the same color as the frame of the correct word. So children can do that activity. It will give them confidence. But then if you give it to them one time, two times, three times, 10 times, they are going to look at the words and they're going to remember them. Maybe after the 10th time, you can remove the color code and they get to recognize the words. Here, we are giving them supported exposure and we're not expecting more than 20% recognition. So, but again, just because they cannot do it 100% means that we do not aim for the 20%. Remember never to give them these words isolated from the topic. So if you're studying this unit, you should only give them 3 words at a time with the same unit, within the same unit, so they can do this kind of guessing. Which word is this? Right. This one here also is an example of both print awareness and social emotional learning activity. Here, the children are going to recognize this picture first. So this is color, color, and they're going to point at this word and say color. And we're going to ask them, what do you like to do? All they need to do here is to put a sad face, a happy face, or a sad face. No correct answer, no judgment whatsoever. They get to choose what they want. And children really feel good about themselves when they do that. Again, this activity is one of the activities that can be done over and over again. Maybe in a day, a child doesn't feel like coloring. They are tired, they are hot. The paper is too dusty, whatever the circumstances are. I'm saying that because I used to hate it when I was a child when the papers were so dusty. So this is an example from my childhood. I hated coloring on dusty papers. So yeah, maybe one day they feel like coloring, another day they don't feel like coloring, playing, not playing. And then perhaps you can change these words a little bit, add more actions to it. The key here is repetition. There is no reason why you cannot do this activity, put it in a learning corner, have it laminated, and then the answers can be erased. You can use a board marker for it, and it can be done over and over again. This is why learning corners are really, really good. Take a very good look at the learning centers in your teacher's guides, the ideas in there, and you can put anything in a learning corner. Group work, children who are working in groups in learning centers are going to produce a lot of language, especially if you're not watching. But try to watch them in secret, you will realize how much language they are producing. Here also, I like to read, swim, play ball, no judgment whatsoever. They get to choose and they get to say the language to express something about themselves. Here, this is also, this comes from the literacy skills pad, and this activity is very, very controlled. This marker, the marker is black, the jacket is, so can you see the repetition? A differentiation tip here, you might use some sort of support. You might replace the word marker here with an actual marker picture and then remove it. So this is differentiating the method for some children who might be slower than other children. And you might differentiate the outcome, actually. You might be happy with them never having to recognize that this is marker and this is jacket. You might give other children, these children, another version of the activity only with pictures. But the goal here is for them to semi-read this sentence and follow the instructions. So the marker is black. They need to find the marker and then they need to color it black. The same concept here. So the children, this is a science lesson. The children get to what can you, what can you, what can you. This is repeated. So if you read it once, they can guess the rest of them. So hear, smell, taste. What can you hear? What can you smell? What can you taste? This is a science concept. Cognitive skills, critical thinking, all of that. Here they get to match. This also comes from level 1. I see the tree. They might not be able to read this, but they can recognize I see. So which one of them they see? Perhaps the bird, perhaps the cake. So let's move to another one. I taste. Oh, they cannot taste the tree now or the bird. So it leaves only the cake. So they go here and you encourage them. Yes, I taste the cake. Then I hear. Well, can you hear the tree or can you hear the bird? Actually, they can hear both. You can hear the tree, can't you? So then here you draw their attention that, oh, let's see what this word is. This is bird. So where's the bird? And they match it. So for narrative skills, what helps children predict what they read? Like we said, it's the familiarity of context, topic and vocabulary, and the familiarity of language and structure. The more time you spend doing oral work, discussing, making them say the target structure, the more they can predict the text. Holding a sentence, then changing a sentence. Cumulative stories, we're going to show you an example of that. Memory games, engaging with images. Character animation, we're going to show you an example of that as well. So let's see some examples. Here, this is an example of what we call character animation. And these characters, this is in the page, but this is actually an activity in one of the learning centers in the teacher's book, where children get to use bubbles and get to work with these characters outside the book. Here, they are going to add themselves into the book. They are going to draw themselves and say, fine, thank you. Hello, how are you? My name is, and they're going to write their name. What's your, fine, thank you. What's your name? They're going to write their name and say their name. So they are adding themselves to the book. This is what we call character animation. Character animation is when they cut out these characters and start placing them with their hand onto the correct place. So this lesson here is about the job. And yeah, the police officer works at the police station. The doctor works at the hospital. And they get to say these things while holding the characters and moving them. Let's skip that part. This is from level 3. I just wanted to show you this story to show you the kind of cumulative language that we use. This story is from level 3, so it's quite sophisticated, quite advanced language here. So let's see how this story works. It says here, so they write their name, and this is Aya's little reader or Huda's little reader. And then this boy here is the hero. At school, we learn to wait. I try to do my best. We learn to wait. See the repetition? This is the cumulative part. So we repeat some parts of the sentences, then we add more. We learn to wait at the playground too. I try to do my best. So repetition, then adding a little bit. Children love these types of stories. Then we can discuss actually what this child feels. So he's waiting in line. He has a smile on his face, but it's not a very big smile, is it? It is because waiting is not the most interesting thing to do. It's very difficult for young children to wait. Well, it's difficult for us to wait for our turn. Sometimes we get really impatient. So imagine children. So acknowledge the feeling. Yeah, does he feel happy? Not really, but he's happy to wait because he's trying his best. He's trying to do his best. He's trying to respect other people's turns. Even at home, the poor boy has to wait. At home, I learn to wait. I try to do my best. So see, the repetition here makes it very easy for the children to predict what comes next. And then finally, the happy ending. Sometimes I don't like to wait. Yeah, here's the recognition of the feeling, but I can do it. I like to learn and grow. These types of stories are very, very intriguing. And as you can see, this is what we call a whole child approach. Everything is connected. You cannot teach literacy independently from English language. You cannot teach language independently from social emotional learning and values. You cannot teach creativity independently of language or cognitive skills. You need to give them the language to be able to enhance their cognitive skills and help them think. You need to get them to think in the language in order to enhance their English language skills. So it is all connected. And this is what we call a whole child approach. Um, this is a quote by Stephen Krashen, and Krashen is one of my favorite English language teaching experts and educators. Uh, Good stories can do that to you. You get lost in the story. And it is the best way to become literate is to get lost in the story, in the feelings, in the characters, to the extent that your sense of self and sense of time is diminished. You lose track of time. And this is exactly what we want our children to experience. We want them to not feel the duration of the lesson because the whole lesson is nothing but a compelling, memorable, nice story given to them by wonderful teachers as yourselves. We want them to be surprised that the bell has announced the ending of the session, and we want them to not feel the time while they are with you. And our goal actually is to help students develop a pleasure reading. And this is as challenging now as ever because even adults don't find reading pleasurable anymore. But we are losing a lot by not reading, really. And the earlier we instill this, we immerse children in the habit of reading, giving them these little books to read and feel proud of, getting them used to the touch of books and uh, to work with two-dimensional pages, either digitally or by or paper-based. It is a very amazing thing to instill in your classrooms and in your children. And can a book like Doodle Town help you do that? Yes, absolutely. The answer is yes. Uh, that was actually the end of our unit walkthrough. Let me pop back into the meeting. And let's see if we've got any questions. Okay, I can see in the chat that we've got no questions. Or any feelings, any comments? Can you just at least give me an emoji to let me know how you feel about what you just saw? Are things a little bit clearer now on how the book works together and how the units are built? Oh, lots of hearts. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. That's very kind. It would be lovely to hear your thoughts and to know if you have any questions. I'm gonna stop sharing the screen actually. I've been sharing it to you guys. We have gone 9 minutes over, so perhaps I should leave you to enjoy the rest of your evening. Thank you so much for your time today. I enjoyed talking to you. I've enjoyed being with you. And oh, thank you so much, Huda. Thank you so much. And yes, we will make sure that you get the recording of the session. We'll make sure that you get the worksheets. If for any reason we fail to send this to you, please contact your Macmillan consultant and they will make sure to give you all of these things. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. And we hope to see you again soon. Thank you.